The budget before you, found in the form of SB 69, reflects the Democrat vision and priorities for this state. Now, they'll tell you it's been painful and it's been difficult to get to this point, but it's been built upon 30, 40 years of Democrat policies that have put us in a position where we've come to the edge, we've come to the brink, and we have to pare back the scope of government. Now, the governor has presented it as a balanced approach, half cuts, half revenues. It is not. I've gone into that before. But the more important thing is we Republicans have been engaged in the process. We were there. We commented. We voted. Not one single item changed as a result of concerns or alternatives offered by Republican members. Now, we're always asked, where is your budget proposal? To which I usually say, sort of tongue-in-cheek, but sort of not, on the floor of every conference committee, every budget committee room, because they're summarily dismissed. The Democrats rejected over $1.7 billion of the governor's spending reductions, which Republicans voted for in full budget committee, and replaced them with over $1 billion of one-time solutions, gimmicks, and borrowing. In fact, according to the Department of Finance, they're still $400 million short of the governor's reduction level. Now, some of the examples include loans and transfers. The conference package contains a total of $396 million of new loans and transfers. All of these loans and transfers are just for the budget year. In some cases, these loans and transfers replace ongoing solutions. Another example, the judicial branch, the governor proposed a $200 million ongoing but unallocated reduction to the judicial branch. And the final conference package included an ongoing reduction of the same amount, but the specific actions proposed to achieve the savings in this next fiscal year that we are considering are nearly all one-time in nature, such as one-time transfers from various court-related special funds. You know how it gets more and more for a traffic ticket? We keep taking some of these funds and then we justify higher fees, and eventually we sweep them back into the state some way or other. The phony cuts include Democrats assumed $128 million of savings from the implementation of a new federal waiver program, the Community First Choice Option. This is not even a program cut. It's a shift to federal funds. The legislative analysts and the Department of Finance contend the savings that are assumed is premature. Democrats adopted additional savings, $153 million general fund within IHSS from a medication compliance pilot program. This concept's never even been discussed publicly. Any savings are a fiction invented to avoid making real reductions. Democrats also assumed savings from reduced IHSS caseloads, but Department of Finance testified that this is double counting savings already assumed in 1112, currently included in the budget for anti-fraud activities. Now, Republicans believe the state could save billions of dollars and avoid many of these painful cuts by allowing local businesses and the private sector to provide many services in state operation. It's called competition. It works wonderfully in the private sector. We have actually created a sole source government, so the efficiencies that we could be realized are stifled, and they lead to this unsupportable level of government that frankly makes us make very difficult cuts that we wouldn't have to otherwise make if we just encouraged efficiencies, if we were outcome-based as opposed to how much money can we throw into a program. Lastly, let's be clear, the budget will ultimately raise taxes by over $50 billion. It's built with this $14 billion tax increase hole into it. That's $14 billion this year, but as you extend it out, it's over $50 billion over the life of the presumed 5 years. At that same time, for the first 3 years, we will actually grow the state's general fund by 30%. 30%. Why? Because within this budget, there are no reforms. There are no caps in spending. There are no pension reforms to the degree that would help us in our outlying problems. It doesn't provide what we need to do, which is create jobs, which should be our #1 priority. I didn't sign the conference report. I urge a no vote on this entirety because it's an inadequate package.